Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. My name is Clay Luxon, and I'm one of the engineers with the City of Moorhead. This is an informational video for an upcoming street construction project that's proposed to take place in your neighborhood during the summer of 2025. In this video, we'll cover several topics, including the city's pavement management program, a description of the proposed work, a funding summary, and then ways for you to provide comments. We'll also let you know how to stay up to date on the project as it progresses. Before we get into the specifics of this project, I do want to mention one additional source of information that you might find helpful. The city has a dedicated website that provides information on the city's pavement management program. If you've never heard of a pavement management program, that's okay. This will be a great place for you to check out. In addition to providing background on what a pavement management program is, you'll get information on how the city selects its projects, work strategies for major projects, a deeper explanation of funding and assessments, and a lot more. There are great interactive mapping tools that show where projects are located across the city. That includes past projects, current projects, and upcoming projects. Click on the street lines for additional information, and there is another informational video on there as well. It is a great supplemental source of information to this video. If you go to the city's website and navigate to the engineering page, you'll find the link to the Pavement Management Program Story Map page. It's circled here in red. If you click on that, you'll arrive at this page, and then you can scroll through the page at your own pace. Now, I'll go through some history on the project area and the existing conditions. So per city records, all the roads in this project area were constructed in the 1950s and 1960s. There really haven't been any significant street construction projects since then. Some minor maintenance work has been performed on the streets, including seal coats and a couple of minor overlay projects to act as stopgap measures or ways to prolong the life of the street. Many of the pedestrian ramps in the project area do not meet current ADA standards, so those will be replaced. Generally, this means that they are too steep, they don't have the detectable warning panels, or they have very uneven surfaces. There are also several isolated segments of sidewalk that will be replaced so that we can make them ADA compliant, but most of the sidewalks within the project area will be left as is. The storm sewer is in good condition, and so no improvements are proposed to the storm sewer. The sanitary is generally in acceptable condition. The city periodically televises the sanitary sewer mains and makes repairs when defects are identified. At the present time, no repairs are necessary. Some of the water mains are PVC pipe, and some of them are a cast iron pipe, or CIP. The CIP is susceptible to corrosion, and therefore Moorhead Public Service will be replacing the CIP mains as a part of the city street project. Other utilities that exist in the project area are privately owned and maintained. Some gas mains are in need of replacement, and we will talk about that more on the following slides. Now I'm going to go over some project-specific information about what we're proposing to do in your neighborhood. The proposed street improvements for this area include a rehab project. The image shows the type of work we're proposing to do and where it will be. We are proposing a rehab on River Drive South on the 1200 to 1300 block, as well as River Drive South between 14th and 16th Avenue South, 18th Avenue South from 3rd to 4th Street, and the 1800 block of 3rd Street South, and Elm Street from 12th to 14th Avenue South. A rehab includes the complete replacement of the pavement section, however, the curb and gutter would largely remain in place. The city will be replacing Moorhead Public Service's existing cast iron water main as a part of the street project on River Drive South. This work is shown as the blue dashed line. Lastly, Xcel Energy usually replaces their existing gas lines prior to a city street project. Though this is not yet confirmed, it is expected to happen. Note that this work is completely separate from the city street project. On this slide, I've got some generic project information for you. The anticipated start date for this project would be sometime in May or June. This is a large enough project that we'd expect the contractor to want to get an early start, but it will be dependent on the contractor's schedule and it will be weather dependent as well. The final completion date for this project is estimated to be near the end of September. That doesn't necessarily mean that the entire project area will be in a state of construction from May to the end of September, and it's not a guarantee that all the work will be completed by then. It just means that the contractor has that window of time to complete the project in accordance with the contract. And then if they don't complete it by that date, the city may consider applying financial penalties. The project will also be completed in phases, and each phase has a specific amount of time allotted for construction. During construction, there will be times, especially in the rehab areas, where residents will not have access to their driveways and will need to park vehicles on nearby streets that are under construction. When this becomes necessary, you'll be notified several days in advance. Access will change throughout the project depending on the scope of work in your area and what stage of the project is happening. If you have questions about access, please contact one of our staff, and our field staff during construction will be the best source of information for you on this topic. If you need any special considerations for access, please contact us as soon as possible so that we can do our best to provide accommodations. For example, this may include residents that use a wheelchair or residents who frequently make use of the FM Ride Source program. Please feel free to speak to us about your situation and we'll do our best to accommodate you. We will notify the police department that we'll have construction in the area, so they should not be ticketing if you're parked on a side street, but if you do get a ticket, please contact me and then we'll work to get it resolved. Garbage and recycling pickup will still happen more or less like normal. If the trucks cannot get through to pick up your containers, we'll ask that you still bring them out to the end of your driveway like normal. The contractor will round them up and then bring them to a common place for collection. And then after collection, they'll be returned to you. If this becomes necessary, we do ask that you put your name and house number somewhere on that container so that we can get it back to the right spot. As I mentioned previously, Xcel Energy will more than likely have gas main replacement projects in this area. It's likely that they will want to get an early start on their projects. We're mentioning this because it's going to be a very busy project area with a lot of work happening. If you see Xcel Energy starting to do work, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're about to begin construction on the street. We do, however, want to note that when Xcel Energy starts their work, there will be areas in the road where they are excavating, and sections of sidewalk will be removed as they work to reconnect services. In addition, there'll be sections of curb and gutter that they may remove as well. Generally, when they do this, they maintain full access for residents. Assessments on this project are expected to generate approximately $333,000 in front footage assessments. The front footage assessment rate depends on the scope of work, so whether it's a mill and overlay, a rehab, or a reconstruction. The rate is applied to the front footage of the property. So generally speaking, on a square or rectangular property, that's measured as the width of the property abutting the street. On this project, we have just one type of rate, which is the rehab rate, which is $90 a front foot. We've estimated that on this project, it will cost approximately $1.4 million. That includes all of the costs associated with construction, contingencies, and fees. The funding for this project comes from three sources: special assessments, a MPS cost share, and then a city cost share. As noted previously, special assessments on this project will consist of front footage assessments, and in total the assessments are expected to generate approximately $333,000. MPS cost share is expected to be about $195,000, and the remaining $839,000 will be funded as a city cost share. If you have general questions about the project, please feel free to reach out to the city engineering contact listed below by email or by phone. If you have questions about construction access or schedule or scope of work, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to speak with you by phone or come out with you and meet on site. Lastly, please let us know if you have a sump pump line or an irrigation line in the boulevard. Often we only find out about these things after we've dug them up. If you have one, we can mark it and do our best to try to avoid it. You may be required to relocate it if we can't, but we do try to avoid damaging them. If you are interested in receiving periodic email updates about the project prior to construction and then during construction, you can go to the city's website and click on notifications. there is a spot where you can fill in some contact information and select the project, and then submit to be placed on that list. So when we send out email updates, you'll receive those. Lastly, if you have questions specifically related to special assessments, please feel free to reach out to the city's Special Assessment Coordinator, Amy Seifert. If you have questions about rates or amounts or how the whole process works, she's the one that you'll want to reach out to. And if you made it this far in the presentation, I just want to say thank you, appreciate your time, and again, please feel free to reach out with any questions.